Welcome back to the Lighthead online video show where we always speak the truth from our hearts. This episode of the show is brought to you by Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com. Light made easy, the retrofit kings, Greg.
They've always got good product out there. Check out their website. New innovative stuff coming for 2019. Keystone Tech.
KeystoneTech.com. So, Greg, you said you wanted to ask me about some oil that you have.
Do you want to buy some snake oil that I have? I do want to ask. So we've referenced the term. Open up the jacket. Here's what I've got.
For today only, the special snake oil.
We've referenced the term off and on over the year in our podcast here, and it honestly feels that way to me. You know, I don't know what the traditional snake oil business was, but is that what we're in? Are we in a snake oil business?
You know what? You know what's funny is remember when we interviewed Dr. Veach and she was telling the guy, like, why is your marketing department writing this stuff on lighting? Remember that on the show? And she's like, that's not true. And he's like, I can't do anything about it. And just simply, there's never been any lighting engineers. The leading association on lighting, the Illuminating Engineering Society, is like an industry body. It's not a college. You know, like there's the College of Electrical or the Professional Engineers Society of Ontario. There's probably the same thing in Minnesota, right? The Minnesota Board of Electrical Engineers or whatever it is, right? But in lighting, it's like industry associations. You learn it from the streets. There was, when we came in the game, there's all these long life guys out there. Okay. Yeah.
Which is snake oil in itself.
Oh, bro. Right. So I'll tell you a story. So before my dad started Atlas Lighting, he worked for another company, and he got fired because he went in the back, and they were sanding the codes off the fluorescent tubes and relabeling them as long life. And my dad had a crew, and he told his guys in his crew, and the crew got all pissed off because they were out selling long life. And then
long life on there?
They actually reprinted the tubes with long life. Awesome. And so one of the reps he trained went to the boss, like, Colligan told me you guys are cheaters. And he's like, where's that Colligan? Get him in here. You're fired, Colligan. So he went and started his own lighting company. But so the snake lighting, there's something about us not knowing really what lighting is. And we don't even know what it is. That's the reality. How's that, folks? We don't even know what light actually is. Maybe everything is light. Maybe we are creatures of the light. I don't know, okay? But there's something about this business that just lends itself to snake oil. So you're either trying to sell for the highest price you can based on a whole bunch of information which you don't know to be true, or know not to be true in some cases, or you're, selling on value with energy savings or with lowest price or commodity or service or something like that. But there's always been this snake oil element in the game, Greg. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, why is that? Is it because there isn't any professional training, as you mentioned, or a degree in lighting? Or why is that? Why do we let that happen?
I don't know, man. I don't know if we let it happen. I think people enjoy the presence of a snake oil salesman. There's something about the performance up on the stage, so positive and full of energy, and come down and we got Culligan snake oil here, and all I do, I cut the rattlesnake open in front of you, and out drips the venom, and below the venom is the oil, and we have the oil here, and all you do is take a shot of this, and you'll relieve all your symptoms. It's like the same thing with lighting, with the health effects and all this kind of stuff. People like what happened? What happened? Oh, it helps you. I'm going to go tell all my customers that real quick. And they run out and we're the first ones to market with healthy lighting. And they try to get into it and try to have a differentiating factor or something. And they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And there's no leadership in the game. So I there's something about lighting. I think it has to do with the lack of actual true lighting science. And when we talk to Dr. Veach, it's like we're like the fish figuring out we're in the water right now. It's like, oh, this is water? Yeah, it's water. What's water like? Okay, how do we figure it out? And then a lot of the metrics in lighting can be really captured. So you have these scales, like CRI, for example. 0 to 100 is the color rendering index, right?
Yeah.
So we have 92. What the hell does that mean?
It means
What does
it's
it mean?
good, like an A-.
Come on, son. No, color rendering index is probably the most anachronistic measurement of anything in the world. It's completely useless. Like
Right.
color rendering index. Okay, maybe, I don't even think it's useless at all. And now they're talking about depth and graininess. And I was reading an article on Dr. Veach's Twitter feed. They want to talk about the texture of the color of light. It's like, yes, now we're actually figuring something out. So lighting has always lent itself to this because why? Number one, colors of light can be manipulated. So you can talk end users into any color of light if you want to. You need to have 5000K because, 6500, it's the color of North Sky daylight. You can go on and you can wax on about all sorts of different things. Then you get into the color rendering index and you're pulling out it's like it's outside. It's the same thing as outside, like the sunlight. It's called sunlight. We call the light sunlight, right? Or daylight, cool light, whatever. And then you have the lifetime thing. And that's where you get into this. Do you remember there's companies out there, the long life goes, what's the warranty on your bulbs? Who cares, dude? It's a $2 fluorescent tube.
Right.
You change one out if it's burnt out, right? They last so long, everybody forgets where they bought them from anyway. So the idea of lights being changed and having to be changed along with the color or the color rendering index and all this, and people actually not knowing any facts about lighting, which is true. Very few people actually know that much really about what light is and how it works. Leads to all sorts of different snake oil. So I don't know if this is an appropriate episode, but I've gone off the deep end.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Save me from myself, Greg. Save me from myself.
Here's how I can save you. We can prove energy efficiency for the most part. If you have the hours the same and you know what the wattage is and all that stuff, that can be proven. But then you throw in controls. Now let's get you some more snake oil. How are these controls?
I love controls, dude. I love lighting controls. So I have lighting control. I have lighting controls all through my house. Well-commissioned lighting controls, and I like stupid controls. The way I do it for customers and for myself is we don't download apps on phones. There's no internet connectivity. Nothing. Okay. You put an aux sensor and a dimmer. So you have the energy going to the aux sensor going to the dimmer going to the lights. There you go. Makes sense. Or you can do some 0 to 10 volt in there if you want to get all fancy schmancy. Sure. Okay, so you can make those two things 0 to 10 volt if you want. But this idea of connectivity and being able to do things on your phone, and I think people do that once and forget about it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, and kind of the point on that too is the snake oil portion of that and the energy efficiency portion and payback is you can lie about a lot of that stuff. If you put a control on something, you can say, hey, the lights are now going to be off 30% of the time. You don't know that. A lot of it is out in the air, and you don't know for sure what it's going to be. So that's kind of what I'm indicating or hinting at.
You know what? I mean, the savings. So, for example, parking garage is a perfect example. Okay? People think the bigger the parking garage, the more the savings. That's actually not true. The bigger the parking garage, the less the savings you have. Because there's more cars going in and out of the garage. And how do I know this? Because I've done data logger surveys of many parking garages. And, over 100 spots on the level or the deck of the garage, you weren't likely to see a lot of savings unless it was a commercial property and people only parked there, during the day. But in Toronto, the parking garages are used 24/7, dude. They're always being accessed. So we would, and then the laws. So we would put these data loggers in, and it turned out that the lights would be off 10% of the time, or 15% of the time. Whereas in the assessments, people were, saying, oh, you're going to have 50, 70% energy savings, man. It's going to be crazy. But the reality is with the appropriate time delays, unless you're willing to put fixture-mounted sensors on individual fixtures, okay, and then have those fixtures being dimmed, I guess, but I don't like doing it that way. So maybe there is that level of savings. But to me, your lights in your garage are either on or they're off. Or they're on or they're on standby. So, there's a lot of that there. But you can save a lot of money with controls. The problem is it's very difficult to measure and verify that. And, I don't know if the mass adoption of controls is going to take place anytime soon. I don't know if it's snake oil, though. I wouldn't put it in the snake oil argument, Greg. I don't think it belongs there.
I think it can be. That's what I'm saying is that people can say this control is now going to save you this much money when you have no clue unless you monitor the traffic. And I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people assume, and when they do payback or proposals or an analysis, and they say, okay, now we put this control on, you're going to save this much more money. You don't always know that. So that's my point on the snake oil portion. And I think a lot of people do that and overly sell the effect of a control.
Well, the other thing too is when you go from, say, like T12 or metal halide or even T8 down to LED, you're capturing a lot of the control savings just in the wattage reduction, right? So if you have a 32 watt T8, it's running at 28 watts or whatever, and you go down to 12 watts. I mean, now you're controlling 12 watts. You know, it's a lot less. So even if you save 50%, I mean, we have a little metric. It's like $1.50 a watt Canadian if it's run 24/7. In the States, probably $1 a watt is probably a good metric, right? So if something's running 24/7, it costs you $1 a watt, right? And if you turn that 12 watt T8 off for 50% of the time and it's run 24/7, it's $6. You can't do a lot with $6, bro. So, I mean, people have to be realistic about controls, about their ability to save. But I do believe in the argument that sometimes you just put the control in there and you do it just because of this. And there's nothing that gives people the feeling of energy efficiency, of good management, of a good lighting system, than a really well-commissioned and installed lighting control system. Nothing.
Controls are peace of mind.
Peace of mind?
Exactly what you're saying.
No, but they're also
that's what it is.
They're also the perception of energy savings. Like wattage reduction in the fixture is the actual energy savings. But if you walk through a factory or a warehouse that, you know, I've done, my company's done, and the controls for the rack aisles are perfectly calibrated so that when you turn into the rack aisle, the first half of the rack comes on and then the second half of the rack comes on. That's beautiful, dude. People love that feeling, and you take a tour of the factory and it makes them feel like this place is really efficient. So a well-done lighting control system has value outside of the actual energy saving it delivers. Unfortunately, sometimes it causes the equipment to burn out early.
True. So now to sum this up and here to bring it back to what the subject is, the snake oil, or we can call them liars. There's a lot of liars in lighting, in the lighting industry. Are they going to go away, or is it always here to stay?
I think it's done. I think that they've exposed themselves now for what they are. So I think a lot of the liars, liar, pants on fire, a lot of the snake oil liar guys, the time that they were entertaining to people is over now. And now people have gotten burned and the word is out, and you want to stick with the guys that have been in the game that you said no to back in 2014. Give me a call. We'll take care of you.
I'm with you. I think relating it back to that other episode we did, it's shakeout. Get rid of the liars. They're going to be gone. True lighting professionals here to stay. Let's do it.
Good riddance to bad rubbish. This is the Light Ted online video show brought to you by Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com. By the way, Keystone's been in business since what, the Second World War or something like that?
Yeah, at least 40s, 50s, somewhere in there. For sure.
Yeah, I'm so honored to be sponsored by such great companies, you know, and on the podcast and on the Light Ted online video show. We really have good support from really strong lighting companies that feel the same way we do about this business. We care about the business, we care about the consumers, and we're here to help you. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com. Light made easy, the Retrofit Kings. This is the Light Ted online video show. Thanks for listening.